When a billionaire CEO mocked a struggling waitress for being too poor to even read, the whole restaurant laughed. But the laughter stopped when she calmly picked up his secret business contract written entirely in Mandarin and began reading it flawlessly. Within minutes, she exposed one of the biggest corporate scams in the country, humiliated the arrogant CEO in front of his investors, and walked out of that restaurant not just with her dignity, but with a job offer worth millions. They said she was just a waitress. They were wrong. She was the woman who read her way to becoming a billionaire. The soft glow of chandeliers shimmered above the crystal glasses at the Silver Crest, the city's most exclusive rooftop restaurant. Waiters moved like clockwork, their polished shoes gliding silently across marble floors. Among them was Maya Lopez, a 26-year-old waitress whose calm smile hid a lifetime of struggle. Every night, she served people who lived the kind of life she used to dream about. People who never had to count coins before buying bread. But Maya wasn't bitter. She was grateful. She worked long hours to pay for her younger brother Daniel's college fees. He was her reason, her only family, and her hope. That evening, fate seated her at table 7, reserved for one of the restaurant's most powerful guests, Victor Hale, the CEO of Hale Technologies. He was known for his sharp suits, sharper tongue, and for never treating service staff like actual humans. When Maya approached with the menu, Victor barely looked up. "You must be the famous waitress who reads poetry, right?" he said with a smirk, glancing at her name tag. "What was it you studied? English? Literature?" "Yes, sir. Linguistics, actually," Maya answered politely. Victor's friends chuckled. "Linguistics?" One of them mocked. "And now you're serving steak. Guess the degree really paid off." Maya forced a small smile and placed their wine glasses gently on the table. But Victor wasn't done. He leaned back in his chair, eyes gleaming with arrogance. "You see, Maya, in the real world, knowledge doesn't matter. Power does. Some people read books, others own companies that print them." The table erupted in laughter. Maya's cheeks flushed, but she stayed silent. Years of working with entitled people had taught her that dignity sometimes meant walking through humiliation quietly. Just then, Victor's assistant hurried over, handing him a thick folder marked "Confidential, Mandarin Translation Pending." Victor frowned. "My translator's running late again," he muttered, then looked at Maya mockingly. "You can't read Chinese, can you?" "Didn't think so." Maya glanced at the pages and froze. The words were more than familiar. She'd grown up speaking Mandarin with her late mother, a language teacher who taught her every symbol with patience and love. She looked up and said, quietly but clearly, "Actually, sir, I can read it." The laughter stopped. Victor raised an eyebrow. "Go ahead then, waitress. Impress us." Maya took a deep breath, opened the folder, and began to read. And in that moment, the entire room leaned in, unaware that her words were about to change everything. The room went silent. Only the faint hum of city lights filled the air as Maya's voice echoed softly across the table. Her pronunciation was flawless, every Mandarin word flowing with confidence. At first, Victor leaned back, smirking, clearly amused that the waitress was trying to impress him. But as she turned each page, translating line by line, his grin began to fade. "And under Clause 7.3, Maya continued, the subsidiary hereby forfeits full ownership to Hale Technologies, under the guise of a partnership merger." Her tone was calm, but her fingers trembled slightly as she realized what she was reading. This wasn't just a business deal. It was corporate theft, disguised in elegant words and legal jargon. When she finished, she closed the folder carefully and looked Victor straight in the eye. "Sir," she said quietly, "this document isn't just a translation request. It's a trap. You're taking full control of a company that believes it's signing a cooperation contract." The color drained from Victor's face. His companions exchanged worried glances, whispering nervously. One of them muttered, "Is that true?" Victor quickly regained his composure, forcing a laugh. "What nonsense! You're just a waitress. Do you even understand what you're reading?" Maya stood her ground. "My mother taught Mandarin for 20 years. I know exactly what it says." Victor's eyes darkened. His voice turned sharp and cold. "Watch your tone. Do you have any idea who I am? I could make sure you never work in this city again." The other guests shifted uncomfortably. The tension in the room was thick. Maya's hands trembled, but she refused to step back. "Maybe you can," she replied softly. "But the truth is still the truth." Just then, a deep voice came from the table beside them. "Miss," the man said in fluent Mandarin, "could you repeat that clause?" Everyone turned. Sitting just a few feet away was Mr. Jiang Wei, the quiet businessman Maya had served earlier that evening. His calm eyes studied the folder in her hand. She repeated the line. Mr. Jiang's expression hardened. "That's my company's contract," he said coldly. Victor froze, his jaw tightening. The billionaire who thought he could mock a waitress had just been caught red-handed by the very man he was trying to deceive. The sound of Mr. Jiang's words hit the room like a thunderclap. Everyone turned toward him. The quiet man who had sat unnoticed just moments ago now carried the presence of authority. His assistant rushed to his side, whispering in Mandarin, but Mr. Jiang raised his hand. His calmness was sharper than anger. He fixed his eyes on Victor Hale. "Mr. Hale," he said in a steady voice, "I believe this contract belongs to my company, Zhang Innovations. And what your employee just read sounds nothing like the agreement we discussed." Victor's composure cracked. "Now hold on, this is a misunderstanding," he stammered. "We were merely preparing a translation draft." Mr. Jiang's gaze hardened. "A translation draft that transfers my company's patents to you without compensation." Maya stepped back slightly, unsure if she'd crossed a line. Her heart pounded as Victor's men shifted uneasily behind him. For a second, she thought she might be escorted out, or worse. But then Mr. Jiang turned to her with a gentle expression. "Young lady, you can read Mandarin fluently." "Yes, sir," Maya replied softly. "My mother was a teacher. I grew up speaking both languages." A small smile touched his face. "Then you may have just saved my company from a massive fraud." He gestured for the folder, scanning the pages quickly. His expression darkened with every paragraph. Finally, he looked up. "I have lawyers waiting downstairs." "Thank you for your honesty, Miss." "Lopez," she replied. "Maya Lopez, Maya Lopez," he repeated thoughtfully. "You've just done what a dozen professionals failed to do. You saw the truth." Victor tried to recover his arrogance, forcing a cold laugh. "Let's not make a scene." "My legal team?" Mr. Jiang interrupted sharply. "Your legal team is finished. And so is this deal." The billionaire's face turned pale. His board members exchanged glances, realizing the disaster unfolding. Then, to everyone's astonishment, Mr. Jiang turned to Maya again. "I was searching for someone who could bridge our international expansion. Someone honest, intelligent, and fearless." He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a sleek envelope. "Maya," he said, "if you're willing, I'd like you to join my company as our Chief Communication Officer. And with it, company shares." The entire restaurant gasped. Maya's eyes widened, her voice trembling. "Sir!" "I'm just a waitress," Mr. Jiang smiled kindly. "Not anymore." The weeks that followed felt like something out of a dream for Maya. One day, she was wiping tables in a restaurant. The next, she was walking through the glass doors of Zhang Innovations, wearing a tailored suit with her name engraved on the office door. Maya Lopez, Chief Communication Officer. Her story spread like wildfire. News channels replayed the viral footage captured by a customer that night. The moment a humble waitress stood up to a billionaire and exposed corruption with nothing but her intelligence and honesty. People online began calling her the waitress who read her way to a fortune. But Maya didn't let the attention change her. She worked tirelessly, studying global contracts, attending meetings, and learning every aspect of international business. Her deep understanding of language and culture made her invaluable. She helped Zhang Innovations expand across Europe and South America, preventing countless companies from being misled by dishonest deals. Victor Hale, meanwhile, was not so lucky. Within months, investigators uncovered a long trail of fraudulent contracts linked to Hale Technologies. Lawsuits flooded in, investors withdrew, and the empire he had built on arrogance began to crumble. One morning, while reading the financial news, Maya saw the headline, "Victor Hale resigns amid corruption scandal. Assets frozen pending investigation." She didn't smile. She simply closed the newspaper and whispered to herself, "Justice always speaks its own language." Under Mr. Zhang's mentorship, Maya began investing her earnings. But she didn't stop there. Using her background in linguistics and technology, she launched her own company, Lingua Tech Global, an AI-driven translation platform designed to help small businesses understand international contracts clearly. Her mission was simple: to make sure no one else got fooled the way Victor Hale had tried to fool others. Within 2 years, LinguaTech became one of the fastest-growing startups in the world. Investors lined up to back her innovation. By the time she turned 30, Maya Lopez was worth over $1 billion. The girl who once carried trays now carried empires on her shoulders, not through power or privilege, but through the wisdom of words. 3 years later, the grand ballroom of the Global Humanitarian Awards sparkled with golden lights. The world's most influential business leaders gathered to honor innovators who used their success for good. And among them, walking gracefully in a silver gown, was Maya Lopez, now a billionaire, philanthropist, and symbol of modern empowerment. Cameras flashed. Reporters called her name. But Maya's attention wasn't on the crowd. It was on the charity foundation she had built, one that provided free language education for underprivileged youth. "Words can change destinies," she had said in every interview, "just like they changed mine." As the ceremony went on, she mingled politely with diplomats and CEOs. That's when she noticed an all-too-familiar face in the corner of the room. Victor Hale. The once-feared billionaire now looked like a ghost of his former self. Thinner, older, and defeated. His company was gone, his mansion sold, and his name erased from the corporate world. He was there not as a guest, but as an assistant for one of the event's vendors. For a moment, Maya hesitated. Then, with quiet grace, she walked toward him. He looked up, startled. "Maya Lopez," he muttered, almost bitterly. "You really made it," she smiled gently. "Life has a strange sense of balance, doesn't it?" Victor sighed, his voice cracking. "You took everything from me." Maya shook her head. "No, Victor, I didn't take anything. You lost it when you decided to mock people instead of learning from them. You underestimated someone who only wanted respect. And that mistake cost you everything." He looked down, shame flickering in his tired eyes. "Do you ever regret it? Exposing me?" Maya paused for a moment. "No, because it wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. You taught me one thing, though, that arrogance blinds even the smartest men." As the host called her name on stage, Maya turned to leave. But before walking away, she added softly, "You once told me I couldn't read. Turns out, I was just reading your downfall." The audience erupted in applause as she accepted her award. Cameras flashed, music swelled, and Victor watched from afar, realizing the waitress he once humiliated had rewritten her destiny one word at a time. That night, Maya Lopez didn't just walk away as a billionaire, she walked away as a legend.